Okay, gentlemen, are you on it? Why don't you get on? You can watch it. Oh, you can't?
All right. Guys, we're live.
There we are.
Okay, gentlemen, are you on?
Yes.
Guys, we're live with the master himself and the sexiest man in marketing, Mr. Jay Abraham. How you doing, sir?
Mm. I like being flattered. Keep flattering. Let's make a whole hour. Oh, he's tall. He's bright. He's well-dressed. Let's just do
He's
that.
courageous.
Oh, wow.
The most
Definitely
valiant,
the best hair. Definitely the best hair in
courageous.
marketing.
The best hair in marketing and the most receding too, but that's another story.
Guys, if you can see our faces and hear our voices, let us know in the chat window. Say good day. Say hello. Tell us where you're from. We're going to get wrapping in just a few minutes, but we got quite a few people who are going to be trying to hop on this at the same time. So we just want to make sure our tech is working and that you're not just staring at us the whole time. Here we go. People are piling on.
Are they confirming they can hear and see?
They're saying good day.
Okay, that's good. And apologies to everyone because it's a little darker on my side. My glasses were just shining like mad, and you wouldn't have seen my eyes, so we had to turn it down. Or I could have worn sunglasses and looked too cool for my own good. But apologies.
That's impossible.
Yeah, I'm going to take you with me everywhere. And when we're out trying to get a reservation, you'll say, "This guy is the best dressed. He's the brightest. So you can't make any mistakes." When I go to bed at night and want to be frisky, I'll let you call in and tell my wife, "Hey, incredible!" And that'll be your business. You'll get out of all the traffic and all the conversion. You'll say, "We just basically are ego acknowledgers."
Yeah, we stimulate your confidence. That's
Yes.
what we do.
We charge you a monthly fee, and we call every morning. And wherever you've got important meetings, we call ahead for them. We set the stage. We call in and say, "Is that famous, handsome, wealthy, world-renowned 400 IQ person happen to be there yet?"
The man.
That's right.
All right.
All
Well,
right, people-
I think we're good to start.
Yeah, people can hear us and they're laughing. They're laughing at Jay.
I hope they're laughing with me.
With
Yeah.
Jay.
Yes,
Funniest guy in marketing.
the funniest
People are-
guy in marketing.
Quite a few people are saying,
I'm going to save all these for the headstone when I die. The most handsome man in marketing, the brightest man in marketing, the funniest.
We'll send you this clip, Jay, so you can use it in your morning formula.
Good, that's good. I like it. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're obviously extremely excited to have the OG, Mr. Abraham, on the live stream today. Jay's agreed to come and invest and impart his many years of wisdom and knowledge into you guys, our people, our crew. And so, Jay, obviously, we really appreciate you for that. Your time is extremely valuable. So I want to acknowledge that. And here's the deal, guys. Jay is going to dispense a lot of value to you. So get out your pen, get out your paper. In between, we'll be asking questions. We'll do some giveaways. And at the end, we'll also give an opportunity for some of you guys to ask some questions. Jay doesn't really need an interview. Obviously, all of you guys know who Jay is. But we've had the privilege to have backdoor access to Jay. And he's tremendously impacted us, our personal lives, our business. He's the mentor to the mentors. And, one of the reasons why we connected with Jay is he has been around for a long time and he's been in the game and he is known for his character and integrity. And we didn't really know the extent of that until we had those close connections and conversations with Jay at his office, on the phone. And we've really had the opportunity to see that be a real tangible thing. So he really cares for people, is very highly motivated in seeing other people win. And he's become our friend and obviously a mentor. So Jay, we really appreciate, again, your time today. And we're just going to flow and let you do your thing. And
Well,
we're going to have a lot of fun today.
The acknowledgement is very gratefully appreciated, and it is my honor to have the privilege of helping people shorten the route and path and elevate the outcome and learn how to add more value. So I'm here for the betterment of everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Cool. I'm going to take us away. I'm going to take us down the rabbit hole.
Okay.
All right. So, Jay, we started working with you about 6 months ago ish.
Okay.
Right about that time. It's been amazing. Every time we talk to you, you change our thinking. You show us a new angle. You teach us how to probe. And in fact, I think the first time that we spent time with you, you spent about 3 hours scrutinizing every area of our business. Remember that?
I do indeed.
In fact, it was so long that we had to have pistachios to sustain us through that time.
Only pistachios would work. No other nut.
You dissected and dismantled and showed us new ways to position ourselves. And I just wanted to kind of hear from you before we dive into questions, before we start talking about preeminence and all the things that you're so known for. What did you find about our business?
I found
and us.
To be clinical. I found two very dedicated, impressive, talented experts who really didn't grasp the magnitude of what you could do for others and how you could reach others and how many ways you could articulate it so that others would trust and respond to you. And I found I gravitate towards businesses, people who really and truly make a bigger difference than they even know how to express. And I was impressed by both of you, and I was really impressed to be very truthful by, and I'm not going to be untruthful, that's a stupid statement, is by your humility and your genuine focus on growing and developing. There's a quote that I live by, and it's a modification, but Socrates said that a life unexamined is a life not worth living. And I believe that a business that is not constantly examined, re-examined from as many different focal points and impact levers as you can possibly understand and identify, is a business not worth owning. And that applies to everyone I counsel, you, and it should apply to everyone you counsel, because I've learned, because I've been in so many different industries. I'm not the most techno sophisticated person, but I've learned thousands of different, better, alternative ways to market, strategize, connect, impact, gain trust, convert, package. And most people don't have the access to the spectrum of possibilities, so they're limited. And when you introduce fresh new ways of thinking that are very logical because they're working wonders in other industries, and you teach them to somebody like yourselves in an industry where, very frankly, almost everybody markets, sells, promotes the same way, it gives you great advantage once you put the whole puzzle together. I don't know if that answer is good or bad or protracted or useful or useless, but that's what I found. How's that?
It's amazing. One of the first things I remember, I wrote this down, and our audience will recognize this because I've taken it and I've given you credit, Jay. So I've basically shared your teachings, but you told us that over your lifetime, you've had, we all have opportunities to do a deal or to make money that might not be ethical. In fact, the first meeting, I told you that we were opportunists, and you said, no, you want to say ethical opportunists, because you always want to protect your integrity, because you can get money back, you can get things back, but if you trade your integrity even one time, you'll never get your integrity back. And
That's true. And you're right. And I think that's a very overlooked element in a lot of young and a lot of smaller entrepreneurs thinking. They don't really realize how important that is over time and also with regard to their dealings with the marketplace today.
love it. So let's dive into preeminence, especially in the client business today. Everyone tends to be fighting for the same client. There's not a lot of differentiation. And one of your biggest precepts is how to become that trusted advisor in any market,
Right.
whether you're obscure now or unknown now, or whether you're relatively well known. Talk to us. Just roll off some wisdom for us.
Okay, now, can I be embarrassingly rude?
Yeah.
I got to put my shoes on. They're halfway on and they're bothering me. So give me 1 second so that I can.
Hey, while Jay gets adjusted on the shoes,
I got to do that.
While Jay puts his clothes on.
Okay, now I'm ready.
So we have a bunch of Jay's books. Obviously, the Sticking Point Solution, CEO Who Sees Around Corners, the classic. So we're gonna be giving some of these away through the live stream. So make sure you guys are taking notes, your biggest takeaways. Make sure you're sharing this. Share this with your mom, your dad, your uncle, brother, your friends, your colleagues, because they need to hear this. All right.
Okay, I'll get into it. And you just said something which sounds a little bit hypey, but in truth, the strategy of preeminence or the advanced strategy, there's an integration now, are probably the greatest philosophical strategy or strategic philosophy that an entrepreneur can live their business and their personal life by. It's very impassioning, it's liberating, it's more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Probably helps if I go through the origin, okay?
Okay,
great.
So I've had all these clients, and one of my clients was the outrageously oversized big gorilla in the market. They were 2 or 3 times as big as their closest competitor. Their profit margins were double or triple. Their prices of products were premier. They were in publishing and advisory. Their renewals were much higher. Their upgrades were much higher, and their numbers were better. And they had incredible loyalty. And I didn't know what they were doing. They did not learn this from me. But when I started, I realized that making money from them was a waste, because they could teach me something that would transform my ability to transform an enormous a number of other people's business and life. So I exchanged $500,000 of my consulting time for the right and the privilege to spend a week with them, interviewing all their executives, the founder, the architect of their culture, their belief system, to try to figure out what was their secret sauce, what was driving all this extraordinary superior performance and achievement. And I had about 1,000 pages of really interesting notes that I distilled down to, I think, 20 or 30. Now, I haven't done this for a long time, and I don't have the notes with me, so you'll have to bear with me. And I'm going to try to give you as much as I can in the shortest period of time, pardon me, but it normally takes a couple of hours, and I do have various versions of it. I'll be happy to give you your choice of any one of them that can reside on your website if that helps you. But let me try to start in the beginning. Your goal and your purpose is to be seen by your target market as the most trusted advisor they can turn to for whatever the product, service, category, outcome, purpose is that they are seeking, number one. Number two, you want to not just be seen as the most trusted advisor, but the only viable source they can possibly consider, because you've established your distinction, your presence, your stature so much more stratospherically distinctive above and beyond the maddening crowd. Now, that's the goal. How do you achieve the goal? You start by first and foremost understanding your market at a level no one else has done. That requires the following. Pardon me. You have to seriously talk to them. You have to examine and evaluate and explore their reality, which is not the same as yours, their definition of different concepts, which is not the definition that you would have. You got to understand and appreciate and respect and acknowledge their, the reality they are living. And you don't have to accept it, but you have to respect it. If you don't understand truly who and what and why they are, you can't really connect with them at the level of richness and bonding and trustworthiness that you need. Second, you really have to understand what trust really is made of. And there's about 13 behavioral traits and characteristics. And I did a really cool interview with the most knowledgeable source of trust building in the corporate and business arena a couple of years ago. And I have a document that you're also welcome to put on your website, because understanding that trust is a lot more dimensional than most people think. And lack of trust is one of the greatest, probably singular determinants of people saying yes, moving forward, opening their receptors. Did you want to ask me a question?
No, I'm just moving it out of the way.
Okay, good. So not good that you don't, good that I just acknowledge you. So in order to do this, you have to be willing to tell people the truth. Every human being has a sense that they are not getting the truth from almost anyone, and that there are better ways, and there's a deeper reality, and there's alternatives that people aren't telling them, and they crave knowing the real truth, and they want people, they want to basically, they are silently begging, excuse me, because I have to remember some of the elements. They're silently begging to be led to answers or questions they don't even know they are struggling with, or opportunities they don't really clearly know they want. But the caveat is they want to be led by somebody they absolutely feel has their best interest at heart, not that person's selfish interest. So you have to be willing to present a different reality than everyone else, because if you don't, you're the same thing as everyone else. You're a commodity. You have to be willing to tell them the truth. And the truth isn't always going to make you money. And the truth isn't always going to resonate with everyone. But if you try to appeal to everyone, you have no belief system that is really authentic. So you got to decide what your belief system is, and not try to give them what they want without really integrating who you are. But you got to be true to thine self, as Shakespeare said. Then, as you're transacting business, you have to care enough about their well-being and respect enough the value, and this is going to sound weird, or lack of value your product, your service, your company provides, because you have a moral obligation, you have a responsibility, and you have the opportunity to transform their lives in some small or massive way through not just the product or service you sell, but the impact, the outcome, the long-term result it can make in that person's life. However, you have to be willing to never allow them to buy less than they need, in less quantity, quality, or combination than they need, or in less frequency than they need. Conversely, you can't try to sell them more than they need. They have to really have, and you have to be authentic. Now, the way I try to explain it, this won't do it justice. This one will. Hold on. This is a half a bottle of water. This happens to be sparkling, but let's presume I own J. Abraham's bottled water shop and water bar. And you guys come in and you want to buy a half a glass of water or one glass. And I take your money without first making sure you are aware that you have a physical requirement and a necessity to consume. If you take a half a bottle or half a glass, 7.5 more of those every day minimum, for your body to function, for your brain to operate at peak, for your stress level to be its lowest, for your skin to be its best, for your organs to work. And that I have this obligation to, first of all, make sure you're aware. Second of all, do everything in my power to make sure you get it from me or from someone. But I can't be comfortable in my own moral, ethical conduct until I'm aware that I'm certain, that I have made you aware. If you don't opt to do it, as long as you're clearly aware, then I've done my job. Conversely, if you buy 8 glasses a day or the equivalent from me, but you only come every other day, I have the same moral obligation to advise you that you need to do it every day, not every other day or every fourth day. Now, if you can take that sort of simple metaphoric example to whatever you do, you have this moral obligation to not allow your perspective, if you know that what you do is superior and the outcome is better, and that your company supports, cares, really educates, instills, installs whatever it is you do more effectively, more successfully, more enduringly than anybody else. And I'm really using you guys as an example. You can't let them buy from somebody else, not because somebody else is a disgusting, wretched asshole, but rather because they're going to get
But they are
substandard outcome. It's your prerogative. And there's a way, by the way, to powerfully position against everyone else. And I'll try to explain that at the end of this if we have time. There's a lot more to this. Secondly, you have an opportunity that is unimaginable, and you have the responsibility, which people don't understand, to put into words what your market is feeling inside, because most people who are drawn to anything don't even know what they're searching to accomplish. They have macro, make $1 million, become independent, but that's far more nuclear or granular than that. And the more you can put into words the feelings, the fears, and the ability to emancipate or solve those fears, or the opportunities specifically they're trying to accomplish, and it resonates with their subconscious, and for the first time diminishes the stress and the strife and the frustrating drive towards whatever it is that they don't really understand, the more you own their mind share. And the way you do it best is a combination of the following. This is something I created, and it's enormously powerful. I call it the Amazon.com School of Marketing. And what it means is you can take whatever category of product, service, business, human condition that your company deals with. You can go to Amazon, and you can do it either way, I guess. You can do it by books. You can probably do it by products. And you can go to all the review. First of all, you go, if it's a book, to the titles. You go to the bestsellers, the last 25 bestsellers for the last year and a half. And you look at the titles, because titles normally convey a desired outcome or avoidance that people want. You look at the subtitles, you look at the chapter titles, because those are what people want. Most books sell more because of those factors. Titles and headlines are the equivalent than they do the content. Second, after you've done that, you go to the review section. You go to the 1s and the 5s, because they are either the most satisfied or the most dissatisfied, and people don't understand this. But when someone is passionate because they've been deliriously fulfilled or over fulfilled on an expectation, or passionately angry because they've been disappointed, their subconscious overrides and articulates in some of the most beautifully clear-cut language, emotionally and tangibly, what they wanted, what they didn't want, what they got, what they didn't get. And if you go through all the 1s and all the 5s for 2 or 3 different categories of books on your topic, and then you can go through actual product catalog categories on Amazon that are similar, and you can do this also on any review site you want, and you aggregate the good and the bad, it will give you language patterns that you can use that are going to be more powerful than the top copywriter, because you're going to be speaking directly to the subconscious of the mind of the target audience about either what they want and they've never expressed clearly, or what they absolutely don't want or have been frustrated by. You can write copy, you can create sales scripts, you can create emails, landing pages. The caveat is, if that isn't an authentic expression of what you either are or what you realize you must become, then it will be inauthentic. And when they do any transaction with you, it'll break down because it will be incongruent. There's a lot more. You want me to continue?
No, let's stop and do a giveaway. You have the fire hose on. People they're loving it. And so you guys, let's go ahead and throw in your biggest takeaway so far. We've got a few hundred people on. I want you to also tag someone in the comments, invite them here, because the knowledge and the wisdom that Jay is sharing, I have a full page of notes. And so go ahead, T.
Right here. Yeah, while you're doing that, so this is why we record our calls with Jay and listen to them over and over and over again all the time, because it's just like you can't even keep up. It's so good. But post your biggest takeaways, and Jay, you mentioned earlier, I want to go through some of my takeaways from the last couple minutes, and then we can move on. And I'm really interested in how to powerfully position yourself against any competitor. That's what I want to know.
Yes.
So we can go there in a second. But you mentioned that you had a document of 13 traits or 13 trust traits.
Right.
How many of you would like to get access to that document? Just throw a yes, raise your hand, do a little like. Would we be able to get that from you, Jay, and share that with people?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'll get it to you, and you can put it on your website or give it to them, whatever you like. And it will help. But realize this, everything I stand for, everything I share, teach, expose, reveal is predicated on your willingness to operate at the highest pinnacle of ethical, high integrity conduct. And it's not meant to teach you how to manipulate somebody. Sure. It's intended to teach you how to connect in the richest, most authentic and sustainable way. But it pre-assumes you're going to live these ideals, and they're not just going to be a manipulative type of a concept to you.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, I know Chris. Let's give away one of his books to the best takeaway, and then let's give out for now. We're gonna grab the document from Jay on the 13 traits. I think we should pick 10 random people who are able to share this video and send that to them. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Or we could give it to everybody who shares it. Or
everyone. I'm down with that too.
Or you can pick every other one.
I'm in scarcity mode and you guys are in abundance mode. That's what's happening right now. Hey, here's my favorite takeaway. Peter Liu. Caitlin, well, let's send a copy of one of Jay's books to Peter Liu. The truth won't always make you money, but you have an ethical obligation to make sure that they are told the truth. This is what I wrote down. Be willing to tell the truth, even if it doesn't make you money. That's one of the reasons, Jay, to be honest and candid and vulnerable, one of the reasons we were like, we want to work with Jay is because anybody can be successful for a week or a month.
Yep.
But if you're successful for 20 years and 30 years, I don't know how old you are, but you've been in the game a long time.
You look like you're about 35, Jay.
You're like maybe 36, maybe 36. We were like, we want to start working with someone who's like, it's obvious that you are an authentic, you've got integrity. And Peter, that's been my best takeaway from the day as well. It's so crazy how many people are not willing to tell people the truth because they want the dollar more than they want their reputation intact. I think that's rampant in our industry right now.
Yep.
So let's get him a book.
And everybody who shares, our team is going to reach out and we're going to get you that 13 truths. We're going to get that document to you, but you have to share this live stream. My biggest takeaway real quick before we jump back in is you must be willing not to let them buy less than they need. And then obviously the inverse of that, that's an extremely powerful message.
That would be your biggest takeaway, bro.
I think though, here's the thing with many people that we deal with, they're afraid. They're afraid to put their offer to the market. But I think that sets people free. When you understand that what you have is so extremely valuable and can alter someone's life and their business, it's your obligation. It's tremendously powerful. Cool.
Very good. All right, Peter, we're going to get you a book. Everyone who shares this, we're going to send you that document. I say we keep rocking and rolling if people are ready.
You guys ready? Say yes in the comments.
Jay's not even fatigued. You can see he's just like, whatever.
He hasn't even started on the pistachios yet.
Oh, man. So, hey, do you want to pick up where we left off, Chris, or do you want to talk about positioning? You want to hit some of these questions? Where you want to go?
I love the thoughts of talking about the positioning, unless Jay has anything else he wants to wrap up.
Well, there's a couple of very critical elements that you need to know. And if I don't address them, there's many, many more, but let me give you the 3 or 4 that you have to have. Okay. First, not necessarily in order, is you want to use metaphors, similes, analogies as often as you can because people can grasp, relate, and understand things much easier when you make these kinds of examples. And anybody who's religious, doesn't matter your religious commitment, but it's basically parables. You have to do that. Number 2, everyone's looking for how can I manipulate? What can I do to get people to buy? And it's really not the right question. The right question is how much value can I contribute that is defined as value on their side, not just mine. Another one is anytime any 2 people come together for any reason, that's why this is also life related, whether it be commerce, business, friendship, love, lust, one side is always being asked either verbally or non-verbally, implicitly or explicitly, knowingly or unknowingly, to take on all, most, or more than all of the risk. More than all the risk, you get married, you have kids, it doesn't work out. Now you got, you give up your career, whatever it is, you got this burden. I believe, and Préeminence stipulates that you don't want to wait for money to change hands to start generously and richly investing in the other side, but you don't do it just implicitly. I believe that there has to be an understanding with people of why you're doing. I don't think giving things free without explanation is a very valuable thing to do. I think you're better off saying, I want to buy you. this workshop, this course, and all I want you to do is agree that, first of all, if you sign up, you will show up. If you show up, you'll show up fully attentive. If you show up fully attentive, you will pay absolute attention, take all the notes, not have your other devices on, because your life is the reason we're doing this, not ours. We already know this, or something like that. The next, and one of the most critical and defining elements of preeminence, is that you have to shift your value system. Most people fall in love either with business, making money, with a product, service, industry, online marketing. But if you really want to be outrageously successful, multiply it many times over whatever you can possibly achieve by those previously acknowledged categories, you fall in love with your client instead. And the reason is you want to be able to see your product, service deployed in their life, making a difference in life. Even if you're selling ice cream, and if only for 15 minutes you give an adult who's got a very stressful life 15 minutes of joy and solace and nostalgia, remembering when they were innocent and young, and that's a very valuable contribution. But if you don't really see them as anything but a credit card charge or a check or a wire transfer, then you've lost the whole meaning of being preeminent. Preeminent is about seriously caring more deeply about the client. Now you have 3 clients. Oh, by the way, you have to refer to them at very least in your mind, and preferably in your verbalization, as clients, not customers. And the reason why is threefold. First of all, it shows more respect for both them and for you. Second, if you want to be the most trusted advisor, but you refer to your buyers as customers, if you look up Webster's Dictionary's definition, a customer is someone who buys a commodity or a service. When you call me your customer, what you're telling to me is that you are nothing more than a commodity or a generality. You have no value above and beyond everyone else. So you're succumbing to the very essence of what you're trying to get away from. Second, if you look up the Webster's Dictionary definition of a client, it's someone who's under the care, the protection, the well-being of another. The relationship itself and the what is the word I want to use? Not the state, but the level and the dimension of the relationship is totally different. You want to see yourself as being and doing that and having that kind of relationship, because when you do all of this, there is a miraculous, almost elevating, liberating power that starts emanating from you and your company, that is more magnetic and more authentic, and starts precipitating enormous outcomes from things you normally would have just gotten, decent return from. Another critical function and factor is you must be on an absolute crusade or a mission, and everyone in your organization has to feel that they are a direct part of the creation, the achievement, the fulfillment of that mission for others, for your clients. And speaking of clients, I'll give you a couple more and then we can stop. There's a lot more dimension than this. Your clients are 3 categories. Certainly, and first, they're the ones that pay you. But ironically, the other 2 categories are the ones you pay: your team members and your external resources and advisors. You want to do everything in your power to make them great. You want to do everything in your power to make the relationship with them enriching. You want to grow and develop the abilities, the capabilities, the success of everyone in your sector, because their growth will translate to your growth. And I can go on, but that's a start.
Yeah. It's very good. Someone said customers is transactional versus clients, which is relational.
That's
So
great.
you're
Very
drawing the
good.
distinction there.
Thank you.
I have some questions, Chris, if that's okay, about what Jay's talking about, unless you
Sure.
want to pop in
Yeah,
here.
well, Jay's dropping bombs, so make sure you guys tag people, get them on here, because this is extremely valuable.
So Jay, I'm remembering back to a couple weeks ago, and you know us, you know our brand is like, we don't have any facades or fronts. We'll just tell people like it is, and we were basically depressed, and you had to like pull us out of the gutter and save us. So we were running to mommy and daddy, and you were like, "You're gonna be okay." And the reason that you told us, the wisdom you gave us, is we had fallen out of love with the people that we were helping. And you reset us. And would you say, in your experience, would you say that most of the times when someone's just getting burned out and they're just getting fatigued and they're just not enjoying their life or their business anymore, is most of the cause of that, do you find going to come back down to you've fallen out of love with the people you're serving, and you've fallen in love with maybe the byproduct of the return? You're giving to get rather than giving to give. Would you agree with that?
That's profoundly true. I have a very dear friend who is one of the most powerful people I've ever met. And I don't mean powerful in terms of his wealth or significance in the business world. He is one of the very, very few grandmasters of Chinese energy that exist alive today, and his abilities, whatever you believe in, are profound. However, I had to work very deeply with him because he was so in love with the energy and what it could do that he lost track of the human element, and he became attitudinally depressed and prejudiced because he saw all the imperfection in humankind, and he only wanted to work with the best. And I explained to him that I believe every human being wants to be better, unless they have some mental illness or something that is not their fault that has adversely affected them. They just don't know how. And they deserve to be loved and appreciated and invested in, because the leverage in that is profound. And you have to be, I think a lot of people get burned out because they see the consumers price shopping and not honoring their word and not paying on time and all these things. And they take it as a personal effrontery and feel violated. And I have money owed me all the time. I have people that don't always keep their word. And I get disappointed, but I also realize that getting angry with human beings for being human is stupid. What your job is to set a higher role model so that they can see a totally different person that they ascribe more to honor, to commit to. And I think it's a beautiful, positive game that you're playing, way above the ground level of frustrating transactional business. It's much more fulfilling. You have a lot more passion and compassion. I had a very interesting discussion with one of the most famous transformatic personages that ever lived before he stopped doing it. And he told me that the way that he was most effective was looking at every human being as being magnificent, but not yet fulfilling on that, and carrying so much crap and baggage they needed help getting rid of it because they didn't even know how to extricate themselves. And he said that when he started working with any group, his goal was to have zero sympathy, but unbelievable yet ruthless empathy and compassion.
Yes.
What happened yesterday, I can't change, but I can help you make yourself better. I can help you see yourself realistically. I can help extricate yourself from flawed thinking or self-serving thinking or
Yes.
self-destructive thinking.
So good.
Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. Chris, can I ask the next one?
Yes, sir.
While I've got him here, I'm just gonna get
You're
all
on
the
a roll,
answers.
man.
Jay, in a world where everyone's trying to monetize everything, everyone's trying to make as much money for as little investment as possible. That's the state of internet marketing as we see
But they
it today.
also want to do it in their underwear while watching
Yes.
reruns of WWF.
Exactly. So everyone's trying to monetize everything, and if they give, they're giving to get. That's what the internet marketing world is giving to get something in return. And you're saying, and this is what you've challenged us on, is give to make a difference, give to invest. But my question for you now, we're going to switch gears a little bit, is there's an unheard of amount of experts who are masters at what they do. They're very, very good, but they're not making any money, and they have a tough time building wealth, and they're just struggling. I think that, building wealth, you should be rewarded richly for your contribution as we have. What would you say to the experts who they're very good at what they do, but they are having a difficult time actually building a solid business that produces wealth for them and their families? Does that question make sense?
It's a great question. I would say a couple of things. That it's, first of all, that old adage about if you build the greatest mousetrap, the world will come to you is not true unless you have a very, very unique patent or trademark. For most people, they have a moral responsibility, to educate the marketplace. I was drawn to marketing and then strategy many years ago because I was privileged to meet talented people that understood that the only way that the marketplace could appreciate not just, their talent, but also the value of that talent was that if they helped educate them, and education wasn't a bunch of vacuous, hyperbolic statements. It was denominating what they did and what it was worth. It was comparing what they did to what others do. It was distinguishing why and how they could make a difference in what someone else does, life or business. It was advocating for yourself, but not in a egotistical or arrogant or brash or audacious or disgusting way, but with a sense of humility, but where the market could appreciate the differences you offered. I mean, really and truly, it's arrogant and ignorant to think that the market should just find you, knowing how complicated the world is. Don't you think, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I'm writing that down. It's arrogant to think that the market should just find you.
Yeah. I mean, that's the most outrageous and ludicrous reality. It can find you after you gain awareness, but it still needs some vehicle to get you, whether it's a magazine article, online podcasts. One of my colleagues did a podcast on Dave Asprey, and now he was discovered, and 20 other people in the genre came to him, and all of a sudden, he was discovered. Same person he'd always been, but he was discovered. But I think whether it's marketing, whether it's media, whether it's gaining collaborative involvement with other people, either in business, having them promote you, having them, be a sidekick in what they do. I mean, there's an infinite number of ways to do it, but you have to be able, if you don't respect yourself enough to I'm going to find the right word, because you don't want to be egotistical, but if you don't respect yourself enough to help the market appreciate you and the value that you represent to them above and beyond the alternatives, and if you don't see that you represent value, and you got to figure out what in fact is your distinct value proposition. What is your differentiation? You can be one of a million talented experts, and that's actually a disadvantage. You have to be a distinctive expert, and I tend to be the very high end of omni-knowledgeable, sort of what, just understanding the holistic totality of the revenue side, although I'm not that strong on technology. But some people can be the specialists. They can be the lower, the higher, the revenue sharing, the guaranteeing performance outcomes. But you better find another dimension besides just expertise, because I think today it's become just the standard for everybody. I mean, that doesn't mean that a bunch of very ill-informed and very limited knowledge people are purporting themselves to be far more expert than they are. But if you just take the category of all the people who really are experts but are struggling, there's three alternatives. One is advocate for yourself. Second is use your skill for something you own, and it doesn't have to be selling information. You can apply it to any of a million different product service categories. Third is start partnering with other people and don't ask for fees. Get pieces of the business, pieces of the revenue, pieces of the profit. You have a lot of optionality if you really want to, but sitting around frustrated, waiting for the throngs and the maddening crowds to beat down your online door is a little bit presumptuous, don't you think?
Yeah, Jay, I have a question. And
Hold on. We should do. You want to do a giveaway? You want to do one quick giveaway?
Yeah.
While you're asking that question,
I was just gonna tee this up.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're on a roll, dude. I don't want to step on your toes.
No, I was just gonna say, let's do a quick giveaway because we have like all of Jay's books, and we're gonna buy some more and send them out to you. So I want to give you guys. This is the book that I just finished reading. I have about 15 pages of notes from it, and this is what it is. You remember writing this, Jay?
I wrote that right after the 208. It was very timely.
So here's what I think. We're in a long sprint, and I think that economically things are going to correct soon. But I think that true marketers, true business builders, the information in this book can bulletproof you. Yeah, 100% bulletproof you. So let's send a couple copies of this out to people. I want you to answer this question, and you would have had to be on the beginning to win this giveaway. When Jay started talking about establishing yourself as the only viable option, he said there are a couple steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3. What was the first step to establishing yourself as the only viable option? And while Chris is asking this question, I'm going to be monitoring the comments, and we're going to pick the one who answers it correctly. All right.
Yeah, and go ahead and tag someone, invite them to this live stream. Jay, in regards to arguably your life's greatest work, in regards to Preeminence, we have a lot of people on here who are absolute experts, but they live in a place of obscurity. They're unknown. So what would you say is the best way to accelerate themselves in regards to Preeminence into becoming the most trusted advisor in their marketplace, to where they are the only option in their marketplace?
Well, I think if they're struggling, it means that their time is not being fully utilized. or if it's being fully utilized, they're not commanding very much for it. So I'll just tell you what I did. And I'll tell you what I've gotten many non-traditional wellness healthcare professionals to do. And it's pretty predictable. When I started, I had a track record of managing and directing marketing and strategy for a couple of companies that grew very rapidly, but I wanted to get into this more elevated field of performance-based consulting where I got paid unlimited on the impact I could make in somebody's business, but I didn't have the reputation. So the first thing I did is I went to a company that at that time was the leading producer of audio information on business, on management, marketing, sales, skill sets. It was Nightingale Conant. Today, Nightingale Conant is very small, but there was a time they were, I don't know, $150 million, and they were big. And they published everyone who was a bestseller. And I went to them and I offered to help them with their business gratis. And if I made a big difference, I wanted them to laudatory endorse and introduce me to all their published business, sales, personal development authors. And I worked very hard and I made them an enormous amount of money because I was very skilled at identifying unutilized assets that they had sitting under their nose. They introduced me to 100 of the top experts. I offered each of those experts to buy them 2 hours of my time. And I also sent them a book that I had created, which we sold ultimately 72,000 copies of for $377 a copy in a year and a half. But the deal I made was I will consult with you, and my ask in return is that you give me an endorsement if what I convey is viable, has an impact, and is profoundly different than the maddening crowd. And I got 82 to give me endorsements, and I was on my way. But I think if people aren't paying you, you could pay them. And in services, particularly if you're great and get their endorsement, and with that endorsement, you could stipulate introduction to, their sphere of influence if they sell business to business, introduction to all their clients in some form as a value add. I can go on, but we have chiropractors and people like that. When they want to really grow, they'll go to the influencers in their community, and I've created a formula, and they'll go to the influencers, and they'll cite all the things they can really have a positive impact on, everything from obviously back, neck, to depression and ADD, all these things. And they'll say, you certainly have someone in your life or yourself that has probably been struggling with these. I will treat them unlimited until we produce either profound improvement or no improvement. And the only stipulation is if we produce profound improvement, you agree that whenever you have the opportunity, which will be often because people will tell you, I got a headache, got this, got that, can't sleep, to just recommend us because we deliver. And when they were not being fully utilized anyhow, and we had them go to maybe 10, 20, 30 influencers, two things happen. After the first period, the influencers more often than not got a positive outcome because they wouldn't really take on things that were outside their competency zone. Number two, those people would become their actual paid clients, and they would also refer like mad. But sitting, I mean, there's a great quote that Gary Halbert, the deceased copywriter, had. He said, more is accomplished in life through movement than has ever been achieved through meditation. And another person that I know, Robert Ringer, wrote a book on action, and he used a derivative of the Einstein quote, nothing happens till something or someone moves. If you're not getting, and also if you're not getting the growth, the success, the expert marketplace acknowledgement you want, and that your skill set and your ability to produce and perform deserves, then whatever you're doing, if it's sitting still, if it's doing nothing, if it's not marketing, if it's not submitting articles, if it's not starting a podcast, if it's not trying to get interviewed, if it's not distinguishing your advantage, if it's not trying to partner, then you pretty much deserve what you're getting. And that may sound brutal and inhumane, but the only reason that I have the stature that I have is that I have truly adhered to the kinds of things I'm talking about. If I had, I had enormously unique ability at a young age, but I had no marketplace recognition. So if I had not proactively taken on the self-responsibility for helping the market discover me and appreciate me and see me highly distinctively above, beyond, differently, then I'd still be unknown, and I would deserve that.
Real fast, I just want to interject to make sure people are catching, I think, what is a subtle distinction, but a very significant distinction is you keep saying helping the market discover me. You're not saying getting what is owed. You're not saying getting them to pay attention to me. You're not saying, like, do you guys, are you catching that? You're constantly focused about helping, serving.
Yes. It's not their fault they don't know about you. It's not their fault they don't see you differently. It's not their fault they don't see. If they saw what you could do and they got it, they'd be on the phone calling you, wouldn't they?
Yep.
So,
that's so good.
It's illogic to, unless you're the psychic marketer and you can beam out to the world to call you, and they don't know why. They just have this sudden urge that's been precipitated by bouncing your beam off the moon and into as many brains of business people as you can, or consumers. How do you imagine people are going to appreciate you and discover you?
Right.
If you
all travel to your city, and one day, you remember the movie Field of Dreams?
Yep.
They're going to just knock on your door, and you're going to be, and the sky's going to open, and the angels are going to trumpet, and nirvana and wealth and success and industry acknowledgement and prosperity is going to be, befall you. No, you got to take it. I mean, there's proaction, there's reaction. Most people in life, there's three things that happen. There are people for whom they sit and they watch things happen. There are people that make things happen. And there are people for whom things keep happening to. And if you look at it, I believe this is a very profound realization that I got from someone else. So it's not original, but it's very powerful if you wish to embrace it. About 2% of what happens in someone's life, I believe, are acts of God, meaning they're things you can't control. Tsunamis, hurricanes, birth defects, and theoretically in the future, they can even control those. Accidents, things like that. And even some of those are our own fault. But 98% of how our life and our business, our career, our health, our whatever plays out are the result of actions we take or don't, decisions we make or don't, factors, forces, uh, uh, immutable laws of, whether it's physics, nature, that we either harness or we allow to whipsaw us. And when you realize how much more control you really have and how controlled you have allowed yourself to be by, by non-existent chains that really, and this reminds me, how they do the elephant? They put a stake in the ground and
Yeah.
But after a while, the stake is nothing. The elephant does, when they're little, they can't pull it out. When they're 2,000 pounds and can push, a car, around a racetrack, the fact that they're tethered by a pin that deep in the dirt isn't what holds them really there. It's the mental perception.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to make sure that you guys got just the answer, and to sum that up, in establishing yourself in your marketplace, getting that trust, getting that authority, is to identify the people who already have that in your marketplace. Go and buy time for them, right? Give them your service in exchange for their trust and authority they've already established with the market. Is such an amazing way to accelerate your path to preeminence. So some of you guys might have missed that, but I wanted to kind of just sum that up for you. That was beautiful, Jay. Taylor, you want to hit the giveaway, and then maybe we get some questions from everybody else.
We already did it.
Some other people.
Caitlin picked the first 5 that got it right while Jay was dropping gold on us, and
love it.
Send that book out in the mail. Jay, we want to be super respectful of your time, and again, it means so much to us and everybody on here that you're here offering the things that you've spent your life discovering. It's such a gift to us. In fact, someone earlier said, I'm sharing this video not to win the gift, but for the gift that you guys have given to us. This is a great perspective. It's powerful. And we acknowledge you, and we're just thankful that you're here. Do you have maybe 5-10 minutes to hit some Q&A from the audience? Is that something you'd be open?
Time if they need the answers. And I want to acknowledge, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't respect what you were both doing and who you were doing it for and how you were doing it and what the result of your doing it was producing. So you have earned the deserved right for me to contribute through you to people I want to reach. So it's mutual self-interest.
Appreciate that.
I don't want to reach them necessarily for money. I want to reach them to challenge them to challenge themselves to higher ideals, performance, contribution. Go ahead.
Beautiful.
Yeah. All right. So if you're on this and you have a question, we have a couple Q&As that we've collected from this session. If you have something that you want to ask Jay, we're going to spend maybe 10 minutes and hitting some rapid fire Q&A. Okay. Sound good? So throw that in the chat box, and Caitlin is going to copy them over to this doc. Jay, first question.
Yes.
How earlier you talked about not letting people buy less or more, and talked about the preeminent stage of sales. And someone's asking, how do you actually communicate that someone might need to buy more or more frequently in a preeminent way, without being salesy or anything like that?
You educate them. I mean, if you don't know why, you can't communicate it. The concept of reason why is a thread that really drives almost everything. And there is a reason why they need more. If they've already gotten a basic understanding, let's talk information, and they are applying it, then, and it's working, and there's 5 gradients higher that they could be achieving from the same day, the same time, the same market, the same investment, the same team, but they're not doing it because they don't know how to, but they've gotten a first level, then you owe it to them to encourage them for their own betterment, not for yours. Conversely, if they've taken the basic and done very little with it, and the advanced might focus more deeply, you have the obligation to at least explore that with them, but not try to squint-eyed get them to buy something they shouldn't. If for example, that whether it's a supplement or whether it's a regiment, and it could be business regiment, supplement. I mean, I try very badly to teach people to be very strategic and never do anything marketing, advertising wise that it's episodic, incongruent, intermittent, because it's a blatant waste. And even if it makes money, it doesn't advance and enhance their strategy. But you have to know why. The only reason anything is hypey is if there's no basis to it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
yes,
as long as you
100%.
can explain to me why it's to my best interest, not yours. It's to my necessity, not yours. I owe it to myself not to stop at where I am because I've already gotten either a financial payoff or a physical payoff. Maybe I come and do something once a month, then I get a pretty good, I've lost 4 pounds or 6 pounds, but damn well that if I come either, every third day or second day, I'm going to lose exponential numbers. Or if I can't come, I should buy this piece of equipment or at least rent it from me, or at least have me send you a trainer because you want to get rid of that. You want to live an extra 5 years. You want to be attractive. You want to keep your mental acuity or whatever.
Yes. Great answer.
Hey, can I ask one of these questions, Taylor?
Yeah. Let's hit the writing question first.
Okay. You asked it then.
Jay, a couple people have asked, how do you get into state to write, assuming copy? You're one of the most renowned copywriters in all the lands. What's your process for getting into state?
I don't write very much anymore, except just in sort of free form to my audience. But when I did it really full on, I would do 3 things. I would, number one, want to see what everyone else does. I'd want to see what the alternatives to that is. And I'll give you an example. If you were selling a weight loss supplement, I would study all the ones that are high ranked, and I would see what their copy says, what their positioning is, what they advocate. Then I would look at alternatives, and alternatives could be how fitness clubs, personal trainers, portion control, food, exercise equipment, books, online training videos, how all of those position. And then I would try to get this is pretty cool. In this example, the guy that created Planet Fitness was a devotee of my work, and he looked at what was missing. So I'm always looking for gaps. The key's this: what about what is being offered is either got a gap or is not addressing a certain market or outcome, or is being marketed with too much assumptive, or is could be taken to a much higher state of value creation. And then I go and spend time walking around and observing people. If I'm going to write to somebody who's got a belly or a butt or a double chin, or I'm going to write to somebody, this is not who I want to write to, who's a bulimic, and believes they're fat, or I'm going to write to somebody that's tried 12 other solutions, or I'm going to write to somebody who maybe for the first time, I want to get my my not barometer, but I want to get my what's the word I want to use? My
Frame.
I don't know what the right word.
Compass.
Well, compass is a great word. That'll serve it for today. And I want to be. I want to. I've been trained. This is not an ADD moment. It's a clarification. I've been trained in optimization, highest and best use of time, effort, capital, access, communication. And I'm not going to do anything until I first have a clear-cut vision of either the massive audience I'm dealing with or the direct audience. If I have the ability, I will call. I don't want to just read the reviews, but I will have people get all those things I told you collected for me from all the Amazons or the product, or I'll go to the review sites. I will also have testimonials that are not just patronizing and platitudinal, transcribed from various websites. And I take all that and I systematically gestate on it. So I'm looking for, how am I going to position my, by the way, I don't see myself when I'm working for a client as really trying to advocate for the client. My client is the consumer or the business owner that they're selling to. So I'm their advocate for whatever they're missing or needing or not getting from alternatives or from not even acquiring this. And it's a different mindset than most people. I'm not trying to write from the company to you. I'm trying to write from you, really recognizing voids or desires or specific goals or frustrations, and introduce a new reality or a counter perspective, or sometimes what's the word I want to use? A counterintuitive piece of science or something like that. I mean, many, many years ago, I had a client, and this was a huge success. And they had a diet and a regimen that came from Romania that the Olympic gold medal weightlifters used, and it was all about eating fat, lots of fat, 5-6 times a day. And I gave it a name, and I gave it a counterintuitive, and I explained why it made no sense, but then I explained the science and but I try to think of everything I'm going to do first, and I identify the components that I want to address, and then I contextualize them into categories. A lot of this I probably do mentally now, but so there's different formulated ways, but everything is a headline that basically should convey a benefit, a promise, an outcome, a protection, enjoyment, entertainment, relief, something that is very, very real and very, very, I guess, critical in the mind, heart, soul of the person. Then you've got to basically go through whatever the formula you want to say is, but you got to prove it. You got to transfer it into their lives. You got to take them into the future. You got to show that it's not unique, and you got to give them permission that whatever they don't know or use or have not accomplished isn't their fault if they didn't know about it, but it's their fault once they learned it's possible not to at least embrace it. And a lot of things. I don't know if that helps.
Hey, Jay,
Great.
can I? Yeah, I want to hit this, probably the last question, because I know that you need to go. But this is probably the cornerstone of preeminence, and that's people having confidence, experts having confidence in themselves first. And this is something that we've seen plague many experts, and it's self-doubt and it's imposter syndrome. So how would you advise someone to get over that so they do first have that trust in themselves, confidence in themselves, before they can relay that to the market?
Well,
Mm.
they have to, tangible validation is, I believe that all the rhetoric is useless. You really want to be able to have confirmation of the results, your expertise, when properly employed or deployed, when whatever area it needs to be applied produces results. If you don't have that, you'll never be able to really have self-confidence. So the first thing, if you don't have it, is get case study validation, empirical based documentable outcomes of whatever your product service does. So you got the confidence in going to people and knowing that it's not about you, it's about what they deserve to get more from whatever they're doing or not doing. It's not about you, it's about them. I was drawn in the beginning, probably fortunately, to not even worrying about my ability, but I was focused on all the things that entrepreneurs who were dedicating their lives and the bulk of their day and their economic expectations and their fulfillment and passion tank and their lifestyle expectations and their wealth creation and their futures too were getting so little out of from what was possible. And I was obsessed with that. I wasn't even worried about my own ability because I could see things that were clearly evident even from the very beginning. But I think the first and easiest way is just get proof, not for your client, but for yourself. You see what your expertise properly applied and make sure that you can correlate it to some kinds of measurable result, whether it's improvement in productivity, time saving, effectiveness, reduction of downtime, lowering of taxes, higher yield, higher close, higher appointments, whatever the heck it is. Don't just say it. Take the time and invest more now to get the proof so that you can then have the certainty and confidence that not even worry about it anymore. I don't worry about it anymore. I don't worry, can I do it? I don't even worry if it's an industry I haven't been in because I've been in enough industries that have correlation, that are similar, that you can extrapolate from. But you can't be your best externally if you're struggling internally with self-doubt.
Yeah.
And if you have self-doubt should only come from, what's the word I want to use? It should only be a function of not proving your value to yourself. Once you've seen the tangible results of what your skill, knowledge, expertise can do when employed, deployed, harnessed by somebody, and if you don't have that, rather than spending the rest of your life with self-doubt, invest, a couple of weeks or months doing it for others and not worrying about the money. Worry about the execution, the implementation, and the documentation and the measurement. After doing that, you should be, off to the races mentally and self-confidence wise, don't you think?
Such a good answer.
Yep.
Such a good answer. Jay, we're gonna wrap up. You've been such a gift to Chris and myself. You've no doubt impacted hundreds of millions of people, but also you've had a great deal of impact on two guys trying to build an empire and a movement. And I just want to thank you for that. Thank you for being here. And if this has been valuable to you, if you're on this live stream, Jay, we want to give people a place to follow you. I was wondering if 50 Shades of Jay would be where you would like to send them.
Well, I think that we created that to be really significant benefactors to struggling entrepreneurs. And I think that's a great one. It's not designed to make any money. They can opt in later if they want. But I think that if they can't get answers and direction from that, they probably can't get answers and direction from anything.
Yeah. Well, we'll post the link, and I know that Chris and I, we've studied your whole body of work, and I've been through 50 Shades of Jay, and I'm on your email list with multiple emails. Because when you find something good, you don't want to miss it. You don't want you don't even want there to be a chance to miss it. And so we'll post that link. And man, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
So
and
much.
Thank you guys for being who you are, because you're both extraordinarily impressive in your authenticity and your integrity and your intentions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Appreciate that. All right. See you guys.